Welcome to Unfiltered, Pixel Pro Audio's weekly show. Today we're going to be talking about the FaderMate. Who is it for? Where do you put it? And what is it all about? Hello, welcome back around the drum. I'm Tay, this is David, and that is Jay. Today we're going to be talking about the FaderMate. And the FaderMate, David, is what?
He's going to make the computer fall down again.
The FaderMate is awesome. It is...
Okay, cool.
Cool, that's all.
It can turn an old analog console into an analog console with digital control for your DAW.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're literally replacing your current faders with a motorized fader.
Yes. They are banks of 8 motorized faders that you replace your existing faders on any console with 100mm faders like SSL, Neve, the classics.
Okay.
You can take those old faders out and put these ones in, and then you still have an analog console that control analog, but on the hub you can change it to digital control and control faders in your DAW.
The FaderMate is something you buy, but it also has like software, or how like you replace the motorized faders.
You use Pro Tools or whatever to control it. I'm sure there's some software component to it as well.
Yeah, so it connects to your computer. Like you've got to have a MIDI port on your interface.
Okay.
But it actually it's got a hardware hub, just a rack piece that you can switch from analog to digital control.
Okay. All right. So, is this something that you are thinking about?
I actually contacted them. I wanted motorized faders for my PM1000 because that'd be awesome.
Yamaha PM1000.
Yeah, go watch that episode.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah. I wanted these faders for my PM1000. It was going to be like $4,000,
Whoa.
which is totally worth it,
Okay. Yeah.
but the faders do not fit.
Yeah, the PM1000 has weird sized faders. That's
like
one of the weird, because the PM1000 doesn't actually have faders. They look like faders, but they're not. They're actually pots.
On a track.
Yeah, pots on a track, which is such a weird design. It works fine, but but because of that, it's like a one of a kind thing for just that console. And so obviously something like this isn't going to work for that. You could build your own thing though. Couldn't you?
They're coming out with a standalone unit where you don't need a console. You can just put it in a box, or it might come in a box. I don't know, but you can just hook it right up to your DAW.
Cool.
Let me ask a dumb question. This is not a dumb question, but it's a basic question.
Okay.
Most consoles came without motorized faders, right?
Yes.
Like the old school ones, or perhaps ones that are really expensive and nice. They come without motorized faders, right?
I would say in the 80s you started seeing them in the really expensive 100,000 plus consoles. You started seeing them when computers started to become personal computers started to become more of a thing. You got your flying faders and stuff, and then you started seeing a lot of things like Neves being retrofitted with something like this, but obviously not to control Pro Tools with, but where it was controlling the analog audio path.
Tell me about automation, fader movement, and motors on faders that are for automation. That's what this is, but there's more, right, to the FaderMate?
Right. I mean, you could always do it. Not always, but like you said, in the 80s, they started fitting consoles with motorized faders, but that's only analog. Something like this does analog and digital. It sends MIDI to your DAW to control the faders.
Okay, sweet. So it is kind of like an all modern encompassing thing that you can retrofit your old board like you could have. Sorry, David. Yeah.
But you can also use it as a controller for Pro Tools, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to send your analog audio back through the console, you can still control the... Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And that's what
Which is cool, because I mean, when you look at the cost of a nice control unit, it's in this price range anyway. So if you have a nice analog console that you want to use, and that sometimes you might want to mix on, and sometimes you might want to mix in the box, this gives you both worlds.
And something like the fader port is very
That's
similar
what I was
to
thinking
it.
of, because that's they have the 16 channel fader port.
That's 1,000,
right?
Yeah. So
you could get your current studio. You could either have a fader port. There's the single version, the 8 and the 16.
Right.
But you could get that basically, put it into your already existing board.
Yes, if your board has 100 millimeter faders.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
They
Asterisk.
also give you like a measurement guide in case it's not that, but it might still fit.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you could also like if you're like correct me if I'm wrong. If you're like a PM1000 guy, you could potentially, if you were willing to get rid of the form factor of the board, and a lot of people are willing to cut those things up.
Yeah.
Could you put this in there?
Yeah, they actually, I emailed them, and they're very responsive, so good customer service, guys. They were saying that you can take off the pots and still fit these in there if the track was long enough.
Okay.
So
you could. I think
you could hack that off.
I think if you were willing to do some heavy modification to a PM1000, you could probably do it, but
I'm not comfortable doing that.
I'd do it.
I'm scared.
And they're okay. We didn't mention price. It says £1,500 on
Starting.
their website, which is about $2,100-ish, I think, roughly.
Something like that, yeah.
Based on my way out of date information, it's something like that.
Sure. Okay, so
And that's for 8, right?
Yes.
That's for 8 channels.
just 8.
They're sold in banks of 8.
So tell me why. Like, would you do this to yours? What are you getting out of this? Would this be worth it for somebody to do?
So I've got an analog console, but I also love my fader port. That was the second best investment I ever made in my studio, right underneath my monitors.
Okay.
It's a huge time saver for writing automation. And with a console, I don't want to have a fader port, like a fader port 16 right under that. I wanted it just to be built all in. So if you've got a console for it, I think it's totally worth it.
Okay.
I agree.
Space saver.
Yeah, if I had an analog console, I would love to have something like this.
Okay. Good.
I like having faders to control things with. I mean, I just love mixing that way. And for you to be able to mix outside of the box with this thing, if you have a good console, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Way back when we did talked about my studio, I had a PreSonus board that didn't have it had motorized faders, but it didn't have DAW control with those faders. So, excuse me, I like this. I think that's great to have DAW control, right?
Yeah.
Too with it. So, I think it has everything. Then
It's not full DAW control. Like you can't do solos and mutes yet because they had talked about that, but it wouldn't be able to fit every console. And that's why they wanted to do just faders, because it can fit every console with 100 millimeter faders.
sure. Okay.
I don't know if people can hear this or not, but we have major construction going on outside. There's a jackhammer literally right down like 20 feet from here. I'm hoping you can't hear it, but if you do, that's what's going on.
Yep.
Well, with our nice setup here, I don't think they'll be able to hear it.
I hope not.
Hopefully. But yeah, going back to the solo mute thing, they were talking about making a transport module
Okay.
so you can either have it on top of the console or retrofit it or something. I don't know. But there was talk of that, and we'll see where it goes. It'd be really cool if they could
I really do
implement
think
it.
that they need to especially add in like something for solos and mutes.
Yeah.
And obviously transports would be great too, because then you've got everything that you really need.
How would that work then? Adding buttons to the fader
Yeah, that's-
sections?
I think it could be done.
It depends on the console if you're comfortable what
Yeah.
you're doing to it.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. So this comes with the fader motors that you're installing.
Yep.
And then it has an outboard 1 unit rack
piece,
piece.
yep.
And then whatever DAW you're using
And then you have to connect it via MIDI.
to your interface.
Yes.
Right.
I think the USB 8 port on the front is for firmware updates and stuff.
It must be. They probably put it on the front for that reason.
Yeah.
To make it
Yeah.
obvious that this is not going to hook up to the computer to control the
Yeah, that's a good
the
point.
devices, right? I
Right.
mean, I assume that's why they did it that way, but I could be wrong.
So quality of life, this thing it checks a lot of boxes for a lot of people.
Yeah, for people who've got an analog console, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
If it fits.
If it fits. So and I think on their website they have a spot where it says like it shows the measurements of what they have right now, and you can compare that to what you have and see if it's supposed to be for you.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good-looking analog consoles on a Reverb that I saw this weekend that
you
would
could
definitely fit.
I know,
You could
I love looking at
retrofit
the old retro consoles on Reverb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like what? Like I mean, there are a ton of consoles out there, and every time you guys talk about one, I'm like, oh, that's a new brand I've never heard
The
of.
problem is there are so many, and you see some, and it's hard to know which ones are good and which ones aren't. I think that's why you see a lot of people who will look at like that name brand, Neve or SSL, where they were focused on making really great, for the most part, really great recording consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And so they developed a really good reputation, partly because they were so focused and partially because their boards were always so good.
Yeah.
And when you start getting into some of the manufacturers like Sony or MCI, for example, you never knew exactly how good it was going to be. Or even Yamaha, for example. Yamaha has their holy grail PM1000, but they have a lot of consoles that are just okay.
Like
you know, they're not
3000.
right. They're not. I wouldn't use them for recording. They might be good for live sound or something, but they're so spread out that you don't know that it's hard to know what's good. And you have to, like, when you're shopping for a console, you got to like really research it.
Yeah.
And how would you do that? Do you go to
Gear sluts? Yeah, that's what I always do.
like,
Is
so forums,
I
right?
Google.
Forums?
I'll Google the console. If I see one that I'm like, okay, that one looks interesting to me, I'll Google it, and then I usually end up on Gear Sluts.
Yep.
What are you gonna? Well, go ahead.
That can be good or bad. I mean, there's a lot of people that love it just because they have it, because they haven't heard anything else. But
Yeah, you see that a lot.
yeah.
So like, yeah, besides actually going somewhere where this thing that you're researching is, you have to rely on information from other people via the forums. And so
That's the good thing about Gear Sluts, though, is there's almost always somebody on Gear Sluts who knows the truth about the console, and they're like, no, that thing has crappy op amps in it. You stay away from, or that thing is so unreliable,
Or,
you'll be
just
spending all your
overheats.
time working on it, which is the thing you really have to watch out for when you're buying a console. Another great thing about the PM1000 is that it's so easy to work on, and they're so reliable.
So, speaking of reliable consoles, Audient makes some killer consoles, and these faders would fit the Audient consoles. You can get the 4816 for like $16,000, which is awesome. And the 8024, you can do their DLC dual layer control module, or you can get the entire thing fitted with these FaderMate faders.
Nice.
I think there's some room right up here for one of those.
Maybe.
I should know this, but will they do it for you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because that would require shipping your entire console, or they'd have to come to you.
Well, I'm saying you buy the console from them and ship them the FaderMate.
I think.
I suppose it's probably not too hard to actually install these. I didn't look into that. Did you?
Oh, you're saying Audient?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. That's a good question. Maybe Audient can chime in on this.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Did you look into how difficult these are to install?
I did. Mostly for the PM1000 because I don't have an SSL or an Eve.
Right. If you do have an SSL or an Eve, though, do you know? Is it pretty drop in?
Yeah, it looked like it was just a few screws, and then you put the new one in and connect a few cables.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we totally want to know if you have a console that doesn't have motorized faders and you would install these and buy these. So we're looking to see if, if you would do that, if you guys would pull the trigger, how would it improve your workflow? Is it something that other people should know about? Because we just found out about this, I guess recently in the last
a month or two ago.
Yeah, 3-4 months ago, we found about this. So,
does anybody have this yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few studios that have videos on YouTube. There was one with a Trident console, and it was doing the Vegas mode thing, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to see more.
Yeah, so we definitely want to see if you guys have it installed, if you would be looking to get it, if you have any information about post consumer, like after it's installed.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what people think.
That'd be great. But
so, real quick question: would you get an analog console to put these in it? Just like a 16-channel thing?
No, I would get an analog console first because I wanted the analog console and I was going to use it.
Okay.
And that is something I could see myself doing down the road is that. And I would probably also get an analog 24-track too.
Yeah.
what would come first, the console or the faders?
The console. For sure, the console.
Yeah.
The question of all time.
Good joke.
Okay. So would you get another console or ever replace your PM1000 in order just to have this?
I would never replace my PM1000.
It's your first
I'd keep
child.
it at least. I mean, at least keep 8 channels of that sucker. And
I'm going to keep all 16 because I'm going to redo all 16 and the 4 buses, and it's going to be like the center of my desk. But I've tossed around the idea of getting an Audient console someday, and if I do, I will definitely get the FaderMate.
Okay. How far along are you on your PM1000 now? I noticed you've been working on it.
I just finished up channel 9, and
Nice.
I've 1 bus done. So, and that's only recap. That's not direct outs yet.
Right.
I'm gonna do the transformers and then wire in DB25,
Nice.
so I can just go right into my patch when I get one.
The patch from Flock
patch.
Audio.
Yes.
Which they chimed in and they said that you should get one. Did you see that?
I'm surprised that they thought he should get one.
Really? What a shocker.
Yeah, that is weird. All right, guys. Well, let's get out of here. Let's fade out.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Let us know what you guys think about this, because we're curious as to what other people view this as, and if you have it already, if you want to get it, that sort of thing. So definitely hit us up in the comments below. Subscribe. Go to pixelproaudio.com/all access to get signed up for our weekly newsletter, which will get you signed up for our free giveaways every quarter. This one is a Focusrite 6i6. Second gen, of course. Scarlett. Focusrite.
Words up there. Red.
Okay. So please go do that, and we will see you again around the drum next time.
Hot tub.
We shall call it FaderMate.
That's what I was going to say.
Doesn't make any sense.
It makes total sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. I'm a podcaster.
Okay. Oh, my. What?
Let's ask the viewers.
We're not keeping this. Lots
Guy
about
who-
pop culture.
The moves. He knew he was wrong.
At least he's owning it.
You're welcome, people.
What?
You did it too.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Nope.
Got it all out of my system now.
All right.
What is it for? Who is it for?
Do a close up on that one.